BooBaes. BooBaes.
Hi and hello
And welcome
to
BooBaes.
BooBaes.
Yay.
I'm Joshua,
And I'm Caitlin.
and we're your host.
Yes, and we're here to whisper
Ready to talk about some ghosts?
some funny shit into your ears today.
Today's episode is brought to you by Thanksgiving.
Yay.
Yes.
A useless holiday.
Where people stuff themselves
That's
and
right.
watch football and
And the dog show.
Use it as a excuse to take a long nap.
Yeah.
At least I do.
Mhm.
Literally, right in the middle of it.
I only care about the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and then the dog show.
Mhm. Do they still do that?
Mhm.
The parade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right after. Well, the dog show's right after the parade, but yes.
Some good doggos.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the dogs. Today, in honor of Thanksgiving, as we said, we're going to be covering. That's my drum roll.
ThanksKilling.
ThanksKilling.
2007.
American slasher film.
Masterpiece.
Written and directed by Jordan Downey.
Great. I was like, I read it
And
yesterday, but
co-written
didn't write it down.
by Brad Schulz, Tony Wilson, Grant Ciaffi, and Kevin Stewart. Kind of like
Wow, I'm glad
culmination
that this
of all
had
these writers.
So many people involved on this.
Well, yeah. And even yesterday in my notes, I'll mention it. I'm like, this was definitely written by a dude, and it's a bunch of dudes.
It is.
Yeah. It's a big bro fest. Writing about a killer turkey.
Warning, boobs in the first second.
Yeah, literally. Is that on your note?
No, that's what's on this cover. Starring Turkey. Turkey, i.e.
I.e. Who's
Gobble,
really
gobble, motherfucker.
the star of the show.
The ultimate low budget experience, a killer turkey comedy horror flick.
Yeah.
It's exactly that.
Which is what they were going for.
The cult classic now on DVD and spelled DEEVEEDEE. I ever tell y'all about the time that I forgot how to spell CD when I was trying to write a Christmas list in kindergarten?
No, but that's kindergarten.
I sat there for so long. I was like spelling CEEDEE. Like, so my brain was working.
Yeah.
Right?
You were getting there.
I was just thinking too hard.
But I mean, in all essence, it still sounds like CD.
Hey, and CDs were pretty new then, right? I was asking for the Leanne Rimes.
Yeah, it's like 98.
A Leanne Rimes CD. Yeah. So that would have been kindergarten.
98, 95. I mean, 98, 99. What the hell was that? My bad. 2-year-old in fucking kindergarten. Can't even write. Okay. And so.
Hey, I was like completely potty trained and shit by then, though.
They do say that girls are faster to like potty train and all that stuff.
Yeah. By 2, I was like a fully functioning adult.
You were self-sufficient.
That's right. Actually, that was more 6. When my parents got divorced, became adult. I often think
like
back, how was I allowed to watch a 2- and 4-year-old on my own in inner city Dallas? That's where we first moved after my parents' divorce, from North Carolina in the mountains
to
there.
Well,
that's how I
you
taught
were a
myself
very
to
mature
swim.
6-year-old.
I guess.
Yeah.
I look at 6-year-olds now and I'm like, I wouldn't trust you with even my cat.
Anybody, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I was in charge of a 2- and a 4-year-old.
They're pretty small.
That's what being a single mom's like.
Well, shout out to single moms.
That's right.
And shout out to ThanksKilling.
Yeah.
We're going to open up with a very
1621.
A 1621. No,
the olden days.
And it's like
It says moments after the very first Thanksgiving.
And very saturated is what I was trying to say, like, because it opens up. So,
yes.
like, as
Also,
soon as it comes on.
I was telling Andrew about this last night on the drive home after we watched it.
Yes.
This time, Josh and I actually watched the film together.
Yeah.
We don't normally do that.
No, not in a while anyways.
But it was really fun.
Yeah.
And when did
what?
When was the first Thanksgiving?
Oh, I don't know.
Didn't like Christopher
while
Columbus
ago.
sell the ocean blue in like 1692?
It was 1642.
So
and when it came over here, but I don't know. I
when
mean,
did the
I'm
first
sure there's an
Thanksgiving
actual
take
year.
place? I don't know if the math lines up.
It probably doesn't. I'm sure
I
it
feel like
wasn't
that would
factual.
be intentional.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I don't know. He started asking questions, and I was like,
First Thanksgiving
I
was
don't do math.
November 1621. Yeah.
Oh, shit. They were right.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep.
Wow. Well, anyways.
They put it in there. So shout out to them for
They
being
actually
factual.
got it right.
Yeah.
Moments after the very first Thanksgiving, though, what we didn't know happened.
Yeah, this is like the backstory of like what the true story is. Yes. So we open up and we already have this person who is running through woods screaming. It's like at the top of their lungs, and they're wearing like a boob plate because it wasn't like actual boobies.
Yeah. Or her name. So
at the
end, her name was Wanda Lust.
Mm-hmm.
So she very well could have been a porn star.
Mm-hmm.
They were definitely fake.
Yeah. It could have just been
tell,
and especially when the frame, you can see it like wrap the whole plating.
Oh, you
around.
could see it around her neck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was over the pilgrim
outfit. It was just
outfit.
over the pilgrim outfit.
Yeah, it was just thrown over.
Oh, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
They were some titties.
Yeah,
they really
some big titties, some big BooBaes. Some would say
BooBaes. They were fake. So how many boos do we give them?
A 5 as far as fake BooBaes go.
Yeah, they were real big.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't look. She wasn't my favorite.
And so she's just running, screaming at the top of her lungs. And she keeps looking back, obviously, and she ends up falling and
titties down.
Titties
right
down.
On her titties.
And then her face down as well. And that's whenever we see the turkey, our Turkie, Mr. Turkey.
And he just kind of goes,
killer.
Nice tits, bitch.
Literally. And then he grabs an axe and he starts butchering her.
Where the fuck does he get an axe from?
I know.
How do you hold an axe with turkey
as
wings?
a bird with feathers? And so he ends up axing her, and they got blood going everywhere and everything. And that's when he has the nice tits bitch. And then we have a whole intro where they basically kind of have like a long credit scene.
Yeah. We get the title card, and the music was really good.
The music was pretty cool.
And there was a moment where it felt like it ended, and I think both of us were kind of expecting it to have ended right there, and then it kept going, and both of us were like, why is this still going on?
Yeah. And they still had credits at the end too, but it's funny. Anyways, I guess it ties in with the rest of the film. So we
just obnoxious.
Very obnoxious it is.
But the music actually was really good.
And then I guess also full disclaimer before we get into the grit and the meat of the movie. The movie was made in 2007, and it's definitely before like
back then.
Yeah, like woke era. So there's just a lot of like maybe words in here that are definitely found offensive to a lot of different communities.
Yes.
But we would like to just say that from the get-go, none of these reflect how me and Caitlin feel, our views, or Rogue Media. And going into that, you already know it's going to be a shit show. It's literally, it's like a South Park episode, but like in a movie about a turkey. Like,
yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And almost like, I feel like almost even worse.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure.
Than
definitely.
South Park.
Oh, yeah. There are definitely a lot of moments where I'm like, ooh, can't.
Yep. There was one moment in particular where it was like 3 things back to back. They said the R word and then the F word that is a slur for gay and queer LGBTQ plus people. And then they made a joke about Native Americans.
Oh, that's right. Like all in the same sequence.
It was like a 30-second span.
Mm-hmm.
And because we were like, nope. And then we were like, nope. And then we were like, oh my God. I think you were still freaking out from the last one. And then I heard that one and I was like, oh. And you're like, what did they say? And that was the casino joke.
That's pretty much the whole movie. Yeah.
It was so bad.
But and so coming back from the credits, we have an opening where we're at a college and we're meeting these 5 college students actually.
Mm-hmm.
We start with Johnny, Allie, Kristen, and Billy.
And I put douchebag and Billy.
Mm-hmm. And they're
douchebag is Johnny.
Yeah, and they're all kind of playing stereotypical characters where Johnny is like the jock. Billy is a hillbilly. Hick. And then we have Miss Allie, who is playing like she's trying to be sexy and like slutty.
So dumb.
And dumb,
Complete
ditzy.
Airhead.
Yeah. And then we have Kristen, who's I guess supposed to be like the final girl, like of the situation. Kind of the more level-headed person.
Yeah. And also kind of the, like
the good girl.
The good girl. Yeah. Who doesn't always get the man, like she takes her glasses off and she's unbelievably pretty kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that trope. And
so they're all kind of talking. They're getting out of school. They're like, already Allie's like, oh my God, spring break. And it's like, she's like
because Billy ripped his shirt off.
That's right.
The moment he got outside and he's like, I'm trying to get Allie to show her tits. Because he was like, Johnny was like, put your tits away. No one will see that.
Yeah.
And then she did. Yeah. She lifted her shirt. It's like, woo. And then Kristen goes.
But she just still had her tank top on. Like her boobs weren't showing yet.
Yeah. And
she
had her bra on.
Yeah. And Kristen was like, put your shirt down. It's not spring break.
It's Thanksgiving, not Titsgiving.
Yeah. And so that's whenever we have them walking away. But as they're walking away, we have another student coming out. His name's Darren, and he's like hollering at them to wait for them. And Billy's like, okay, this is my friend Darren. He's going to be coming with us. He's a little weird, but he's pretty cool. So just like, be chill. And so
I thought his name was Dern at first. For the first half of this, because that's how I felt like Johnny kept saying it.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, people like started saying Darren. Yeah. And I was like, oh, because then I also thought it was Dirk. Maybe. Yeah. I went through so many names for him. I was like, I don't know what his name is anymore.
And so Darren comes up and he's definitely weird. He's strange. Yeah, like his interaction with Johnny is very weird. And he definitely is playing up on that.
He's trying to be like a geek.
Yeah.
And then kind of what everyone imagines, like, like when people.
But not even a geek, but like in what today's term would be like an incel.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Of. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Like that.
I was thinking like someone who lives in a basement.
Someone who looks like they're one step away from like shooting up a school.
Yes.
Like that's what Darren was giving me. But
he kept like wiping his mouth like.
Yeah.
But there was like also no spit there.
No spit.
So it was very confusing. I was just keep your hand away from your mouth. Please stop putting your hand on your mouth. That's disgusting.
And so he and the gang are kind of meeting each other. The girls walk off and they tell the guys they're going to meet them at the Jeep. And so the guys are walking. And as they're going like towards the Jeep, it's this very kind of like Johnny is showing off to Darren, like kind of like how he's a jock and he's like got all these things going for him. He starts showing off his muscles. We get this like very like school like news ad that you'd make in like high school when people are like pass the ball, go long. Like
that's what I wrote in my notes here. I was like, this is just as bad as videos. And I'm sorry to whoever makes the videos, because I have to watch them at all of their football games and it's so bad.
Yeah, definitely some cringing acting.
There's like one time where one guy throws it and he says go long and the guy's like, be right back. And he runs to Cane's and then he comes back with his chicken tenders and he's like, I got you one too, and catches it. And it's like, it's so bad. The angles and everything were giving exactly this though. So this is like high school Avid club. Is that what it's called? AV.
AV club.
Avid. What's Avid?
Avid's a whole other thing, but that is a thing as well. At least it wasn't my school.
Yeah.
But
I was like, I've heard the kids say it before.
And
I don't know what it means. So
that's after they get into the Jeep and they're driving away, we cut to a
lonely old hag and his dog.
A dude in the woods, I would just say.
He refers to himself as just a lonely old hag. So then that's what I refer to him as.
As the hag. Gotcha. And so he is what essentially I got totally my bad. The dog hears like a cat, right? And so he like
just kind of runs
off, and the man's like, well, "Don't stay up. Don't go too far.
Dinner's almost ready."
And so that's kind of playing up. It'll come back later. And then we have the students back in their Jeep. And that's whenever I think, is it Kristen or is it Darren that's like, what are we thankful for or something like that?
Yeah, Darren asks, what are we thankful for? And then Billy says, I'm thankful that your mom is the juiciest poon in town.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay.
And then after that, we have, I think, Kristen trying to be serious. And she's like, I'm thankful for like good health. And then that's whenever Billy's like, that's gay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Johnny's talking about his dad, and this is pretty funny.
This is an awful flashback.
Yeah.
It was again very hazy. And yeah, it was just him like throwing this football.
And he said it was him a long time ago, and it was him like
right now.
Now, yeah.
And then the way they were making it look, I thought this bitch was dead.
No.
I thought his dad was dead. And then he was like, yeah, because we're just not really on good terms right now. And it turns out it's only been for like 2 weeks later on. And it's like, I thought he was literally dead. Oh, sorry, literally.
And so then Darren is being really weird again. And he starts talking about how he's going to get buck wild this Thanksgiving. And he's going to have all the sex. And he's going to sex you guys.
Do the sexing.
Yeah. And he said, I'm going to sex one of you guys in here. Like, it's, yeah. So
and it's like, ew.
It's pretty
Allie
cringe.
says, well, not me, because I'm a prude.
And then Billy's like, you're a whore.
Yeah. And then Kristen comes in with, I howled the first time she said this line. And she says, your legs are harder to shut than the JonBenet Ramsey case. And I was
Which
like,
is so funny.
That was
Which becomes a reoccurring joke.
And then it becomes a very unfortunate joke when Darren tries to re-say it. Yeah.
And so that's whenever we cut to back to the dude, the hag, and the dog, and we have the dog finding a totem pole and pissing on it, but it's like it's like a mini one.
Yeah.
It's sticking out of the ground. Yeah. It's just
maybe like 3 inches tall.
And so as it's pissing on it, I guess like the earth starts shaking and it awakens
it looks
turkey.
Like they just took the camera and went
literally
shaking around.
And we have the turkey come out and he's like getting pissed on and he's talking immediately.
He says, I'm pissed. And
yeah.
I was like, no, you got pissed on.
Yeah. And so that's whenever he kills the dog immediately. So already the pooch is dead.
Sad.
Yes. And we cut to after the dog is dead to a sheriff and his wife in a house essentially. And she's serving him coffee.
Yeah. And he takes a big old swig and then immediately spits it out. And he's like, damn, Cheryl. I don't remember what her name was.
Something like that.
Something like that. Did you shit in this coffee? Or this coffee tastes like shit.
What'd you do? Shit in it? Yeah.
And she's like, as a matter of fact, I did.
And then it just pans to the coffee jug thing. And it just shows like a piece of shit in it.
So
yes,
gross.
It's very gross. And so she's like, I want a divorce. And so then he's like, what did he say? He said something like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
and then he immediately calls Kristen.
Yeah.
And is like on the phone with her.
Because apparently this is her dad.
Yes. Yeah. We find out that's Kristen's dad. And he's like, oh, he goes through his whole spiel. And then he's like, oh, by the way, your stepmom left me or something.
She's divorcing me.
Okay, now bye.
Yeah.
Immediately hangs up.
And so the whole conversation, the gist of it was that, you know, they're all going to their families. So she was about to get there. So, but as soon as I guess they're getting closer to town, their Jeep breaks down.
Of course it does.
On the side of the road.
Oh, no, I hate Jeeps.
Oh, my last Jeep.
Oh, yeah.
R.I.P.
Your Jeep was a fine Jeep until... and it kept you alive.
It did.
Which is very amazing.
She did all right. And so we have them on the side of the road. And then what's his name? Johnny is like, oh, my God, the car's overheated. And that's whenever Allie's like, oh, maybe like, and he says it out loud so everybody can hear it. And then Allie's like, oh my God, maybe it's a flat tire, Johnny.
And then he's like, yeah, it's a flat tire.
And he's making like faces at everyone else. Like, it's so funny. It's so stupid.
Because like, clearly it's not. She's just that dumb.
Yes. And so we have them saying basically
and then she says, if you get drunk enough, Johnny, you can look under my hood.
Yeah. Because I think Darren was the one that brought up, like, we've got beer and we've got tents. We can just party here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're like, okay.
Well, it's got to cool down anyways. And then we get the lowest quality shot of the moon.
Oh, that's right.
Ever known to mankind.
Literally.
It was
so
like
low quality.
Ariana Grande's Instagram stories.
Oh, they're all blurry.
Well, they're just like very tiny shots of the moon.
And so we have them running off.
That was not a hate, by the way. Sorry.
No.
She could do no wrong in my eyes. Actually, please never
all her fans
suspect that I have disrespected the name of.
We love Ariana
Queen.
Grande.
I love her.
And we have the shot of that moon, and then right after that they run off, and so I guess it's Billy who pushes Darren right into a street sign or something, or it
was like a weird wooden sign.
Yeah, like a sign that might be at a park or something, like a state park maybe. And he calls him the F-word slur when he does that. So that was the first time we got it. And then we have him reading it like you would read like a book to children. He's like Crawberg and like points at it.
He picked it up, held it in one arm, and then used his finger to trace the letter.
Yeah.
So silly.
And he's just like, where have I heard that? So he like gets an epiphany and runs to the rest of the gang.
And he's like, guess what? I just saw this sign that said Crawberg. And they're like, okay. And then he says, you never heard of this? Don't tell me you've never heard of Crawberg.
So he's like, I can fill y'all in on Pilgrim history.
And then we get a very fun, terrible animation.
Yeah,
it's not terrible. It was entertaining.
It was entertaining. It was just funny. It's comical. It's very like, cheap animation.
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
Rudimentary.
That's a good word. And of like the story, it's basically like the version of the Deathly Hallows story. That's you know what I mean? Told. And it's going over like the first Thanksgiving and what we didn't know, and essentially that there was a what was it?
Powerful like Native American
shaman, witch doctor,
named Feather Cloud.
Yeah.
Who necromanced a turkey. So every 505 years, it would come back to life
and kill.
The animation too, it looked like a clothesline or something. And there were so many different parts. There was like a giant penis hanging. Then there was a turkey, and I only saw turkey and penis, but there were like 3 other things.
There were other things there. Yeah, it was a pretty funny thing. And then we had Darren going over and talking about this, and he's saying like all these turkeyologists say that it's so true. It is true and all this stuff. So they, I think at this point, have gotten to the fire, right? They're at their tents and stuff set up, and they're talking around, and that's whenever Johnny's like, why'd you have to get everybody scared? There's girls here. But Johnny is definitely like the most scared.
Yeah, for sure. And then they ask like, well, is it even thanks? Has it even been 505 years? And he says, like, well, no, 504. And he goes, but in 45 minutes it will be. Like checks his watch and stuff. And I guess the turkeyologist also referred to this turkey as ThanksKilling.
Yeah.
So that's a historical reference, the name.
It is. And so I think at this point we start talking about tent sharing with Johnny and Kristen. And then Allie's like, you can share a tent with me.
And the inflection during all of this, all of their words it's so forced. Yeah. And it's just hilarious. He's like, gee, Kristen. Blah blah blah, like
and it's like kind of sitcom-y. And so that's whenever we have I think Kristen Kristen gets a phone call, does she not? Or she has to call her dad because she's like shit I forgot to call my dad
while like she's getting that. Well, right before that, old hag had found, I keep referring to the dog as Lassie. It was something like that. It was like Lassie, Flashy, something. But he finds Lassie.
The doggo.
And then he was like, what happened? And then the turkey says, I took this old axe here and I accidentally cut it.
Yeah. And then it's like, how do you accidentally do that? And he's like, well, and starts explaining it in an even funnier way. And then that's whenever I think the dude, the hag is like, I'm going to kill you. But the turkey runs off before he can do anything to him. And then he's just like crying, why? First my wife. And then
now my dog.
And so.
And I was like, wait, did the turkey kill your wife? Or I think he's just
circumstantial, probably. And then we have Kristen. It cuts back to her and she's on the phone with her dad on this like 05 cell phone.
Yeah. Nice little flip phone. Yeah. Where you have to pull the antenna out and stuff.
Very singular.
as she's walking over there too and like gets to where she's going to take the call, she's like so dramatic looking over her shoulder like,
yeah. Yeah.
It's so funny.
And after she gets
Turns
off,
out she had good reason though.
Yeah, because she's talking to the dad about what happened. It's whatever. She's going to try to get back home to him. But then she's like, there's no such thing as a killer turkey. No such thing as like a killer turkey. And then he's like,
there's no such thing
as a killer turkey. And then she obviously freaks out and she's screaming at the top of his lungs. And he's just like, what the fuck? Shut up.
Shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch. I'm going to drink your blood like cranberry sauce.
Yeah, as she runs off. And so she goes to the rest of the gang and she's telling them about, what she saw. And they're basically laughing at her.
I'm like, none of y'all are taking her seriously. Now, like, if it was Allie who saw it, I definitely wouldn't take her seriously. I'd be like, okay, you're dumb.
But it's coming from Kristen.
Yeah, I would be more inclined to believe her.
You think Johnny would have anyways.
Yeah, and that's what she says. She said, I thought you would at least believe me.
Out of all people.
Yeah.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
And so we have her running off essentially, or not running off, but like going to her tent because she's like over them laughing at her. And so I think they all sit back down and that's whenever we get a bunny like thrown into the fire.
Yeah, just a poor little bunny. And it goes, wee!
Yeah.
As it comes in.
And they look at it and they're like, oh, what the heck? And they see it. And then Darren's like, wow, wait, this bunny was dead before it got thrown into the fire. It's been like, gnawed at by a beak.
Yeah.
A turkey beak. Yeah. And so that's whenever he's like, maybe she was telling the truth. And everybody still kind of brushes it off. But Darren's like, well, I'm drunk, so I'm going to go to bed. So then Darren goes to sleep right after I think Johnny goes to sleep. Yeah. And then we have Billy and Allie sitting there and he's like trying to make a move on her and she's just like as if.
Yeah.
But maybe tomorrow night.
Not. Yeah.
I'll think about it. And so we have them she's getting and falling asleep essentially, but she goes into a tent and Billy has to sleep outside.
Yeah. He kind of lays right in front of the fire.
Yeah.
And his little coat over him.
At that point I thought he was going to die. But then we wake up to the next morning and we have the hag standing over him and he's like, you ought to be glad I was here protecting you because that turkey was going to kill you last night.
Tried to pick your heart out or something.
Yeah.
He's like, what? No. And he's like, look at those turkey droppings on your chest.
Yeah. And he had droppings all over him. And so that's whenever the turkey, I mean, the dude just basically says again, like, I'll protect y'all, and then just kind of walks off essentially.
Yeah, he just leaves.
He just leaves because the rest of the gang come out of the tent and they're
Johnny's like,
that's
what are you
weird.
doing, creep?
Yeah. And so we have them getting back to the vehicle. It's apparently starting up now.
Yeah.
After Johnny did whatever he did with the little wrench or something. Yeah. And so they get back in. They're on their way back to their respectful homes, essentially. And so they all get dropped off. Oh. But not before that.
Yeah, there was. So while they were driving back to, Billy's like, no, I believe like Kristen's story. Mm-hmm. And Allie said something. She's like, you're a freak, Billy, but I believe your story.
Yeah.
And then who is it? One of them said, oh, sorry, I think it was Kristen. Yeah. She was like, I was just a little beaked out.
Yeah. All the puns throughout the entire movie.
It was. And then this is where the turkey is hitchhiking. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe the car stopped for him.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, because in this universe, it's just normal to have a talking turkey.
And running around.
He pulls over, and that's whenever he asked the turkey, what was it?
Ass, pass, or gas. And then he was like, I don't know what he said. But then the guy,
it's just ass, I guess. I'll go for ass.
Yeah, and he says, that's a tight ass. Yeah. And then he starts buckling his pants.
Yeah.
So he's going to fuck the turkey.
He's about to fuck the turkey, but then the turkey says something. What does he say?
He says, you better rethink that. And he's like, you better call your, I don't know. He calls
turns around and pulls a gun on him. And shotgun, that's whenever the dude is like, stop it. I've got a daughter. And then he's like, well, you better call her right now. Mm-hmm. And he gets on the phone with her. And as soon as he gets on the phone with her, he shoots his brains out.
Shoots him right dead. And then he crawls on top of his corpse so he can see out the window. And he drives the car.
Yeah.
He steals it off.
And so we've got a turkey driving now. And then that's whenever we have them, I think, back in the car. We're with the gang again. I think
yeah, they just dropped Allie off, and then we get the JonBenet Ramsey joke again.
Yeah.
And then this time the guys are losing it over it. They're like, oh my God, that's so funny. And I was like, she's already said that.
It's already been said. And so we have, which I think is also supposed to be the gag.
Yeah.
And so we have the hillbilly with the gun on the road as well. He's like, I guess, coming out of the woods and going to find the turkey.
And he like hasn't slept a wink.
And so that's whenever we have Johnny at his mom's house.
Having weird family problems. Like he gets to the door and he's like, is dad going to talk to me? And she was like, it's only been 2 weeks or something.
Because he was
so dramatic.
Yeah, because he was like the star quarterback or something like that. And he got like removed from his position essentially.
Because I think he was injured is what I feel like it was. Yeah. And so it's like, you can't help that. And he basically got moved to second string.
And so his dad, he goes to the living room and starts talking to his dad, and he's trying to connect with him, but his dad is already like giving him no attention whatsoever. And and when he looks up, he like has like a fart sound made. Remember? He's like reading a newspaper. Dad? Yeah. And he's like, yeah. And so then we have him walking off after they have literally like 30 seconds of conversation. And that's whenever Johnny like looks at the mom. She's like, just give him some time. It's okay. And he's like, nah, I'm going to go lie to him.
I'm just going to lie to him.
And so he goes outside and he starts he finds his dad smoking and he's trying to talk to him. And he essentially lies to him and just tells him, I made quarterback for the Tritons or something.
And his dad, like a little light switch, is
just like, I'm proud of you.
Like, I couldn't ask for a better son.
And then that's whenever the turkey pops up and is like, okay, I'm over this shit.
Enough of this crap.
Literally. And starts and slats his dad's throat. Slashes it.
And then proceeds to continue to chop his head off.
Yeah.
And then throws it to Johnny.
It's so funny. Literally the fakest thing ever.
Spews of blood.
And then the head didn't even look real. It looked like CGI'd.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so
even the blood didn't look like it almost looked like animated.
It's so bad that you can't help but laugh, you know? And so that's whenever Johnny freaks out and he tries to go back inside, but we then find out that his mom's already been murdered by the turkey.
His mom, like her eyes are all gouged out.
Cut open, gouged, blood. Yes, she got fucked up. And so she was killed off screen. We have him like in the truck driving, I guess, to go meet the rest of his friends. And he's crying and he's like, no more pie, no more cranberry sauce, just turkey.
Just turkey.
And so he goes back to them and he's explaining how his parents were killed by the turkey. And at this point now, Kristen's like, see, like, you should have believed me or whatever. And then we have them saying we need to go to Allie.
Because she's not there because she's fucking someone else.
Yeah. We go back to her place and that's when we have her going with sneaking a dude essentially into her room at home.
And I guess her room is right next to her parents' room. And he was like, aren't your parents right in there? And she's like, it's okay. They're cool with this.
Yeah.
And then so they go in and like, don't even shut the door all the way.
No.
Because when Turkey gets there,
he shows up.
He just kind of like
opens the door. Yeah. And he's like, he breaks the fourth wall and looks at the camera as well. And so anyways, he walks into the room. This has got to be one of the funniest parts of the movie. He walks into the room. And he kills the dude that's fucking Allie.
Yeah.
And then he like slits his throat. Blood goes all over Allie's back. And she's like, oh my God, you don't last long or something like that.
She thought it was calm.
Yes. And then it gets worse. The turkey mounts Allie.
The turkey fucks her.
Starts fucking her. Like all the way to ejaculation.
Him completing.
Yes.
And she like didn't. She was like, this
feels weird. Felt different. And then he looks at her and he comes inside her and what he says, you just got stuffed.
You just got stuffed.
Yes.
And then he kills her.
He breaks her neck. Yeah. And so he.
So funny.
And just the pun, you just got stuff. And so
clever.
At least that's whenever I think we have the gang showing up at her door and they're talking about her again, and that's whenever we have Darren saying, well,
he said your legs are harder to close than JonBenet Ramsey's legs. And it was like, Nope.
That's not how the joke goes.
Not the joke. She was like 5.
Mm-hmm. And so Allie is confirmed dead now because Johnny walked in and went to go look for her. And he's like, she's dead as he comes back out.
He found an extra small gravy flavored condom.
Yeah. And then Billy's like, we've got to kill this turkey.
And Darren says he survived everything we've thrown at him so far. And then Johnny was like, we haven't done anything to try and stop. And he was like, oh, yeah.
And so that's whenever Darren starts thinking, well, I learned all about this from the books in the library. So we got to go to the library to like find out a way to kill him. And then Johnny's like, well, obviously none of the library is open right now. And Chris is just like, well, my dad has lots of books. We'll find something there.
I'm sure he's got something.
Yeah.
So
that's whenever we have this hilarious scene.
Love it.
Where we have the dad and he's looking at Mel and he's like, bales, 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 bales. And the turkey shows up at the house and he's got like this little, like, you know, those little glasses with the mustache and the big nose attached.
Mm-hmm. And the sheriff dad is, of course, dressed as a turkey because Kristen had promised him that they were going to go to this turkey like ball or something together.
The
Thanksgiving party kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so he got all dressed up as a turkey, answers the door. It's a man dressed as a turkey, answering the door for a turkey dressed as a man.
Yeah, it's so stupid. And so he like is telling him that he's Kristen's friend and he's here to see her. And so and that's when the dad's immediately like says like, oh, I never knew she had
any little people as friends, but not little people.
He didn't use that
even
word.
A correct term? I don't know.
I think that is more of a correct term. Yes. But yes, uses a not so accepted word. And so that's whenever we have them sitting at the coffee table and they're just kind of having awkward banter, talking to each other, and then the
turkey's drinking coffee and he's like starts like kind of coughing and stuff, and he's like, it's allergy season. And the dad's like, yeah. And then he says, fuck. And the dad's like, whoa.
Did you just say fucking? Yeah. And then that's whenever he was like, I sure did. You got a problem with it? He said, well, I don't have a problem with the
word fuck.
But I had the age of the fuck. How old are you?
The age of the fuck. And he goes, 510 years old.
Oh, well, fuck it then. I guess you can say it.
I guess you can say it.
And so they're drinking the coffee. They're talking about the creamer. It's hazelnut. And then he's like, well, the turkey is like, well, this is awkward. I'm going to go now.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Just tell Kristen I said hi.
And the sheriff has actually been saying like, kind of like slurs this whole time. And then the turkey's like, if you say one more freaking thing, I swear. And then he just kind of plays it off. But then as he's walking off, the sheriff says, oh, well, that was an odd duck.
What an odd little duck.
Yeah. And it's so like, he's like, nope, that was full warrant to go and kill the sheriff.
The turkey's head like,
yeah. And so he starts killing the sheriff, which we do not see as well. It gets done off screen, but we do hear him screaming. And that's whenever we have Kristen and the gang arriving to Sheriff's place, and she doesn't have a key, so she's knocking. He answers the door.
So weird.
Yeah, and it's the turkey wearing her dad's face. Very Chainsaw
like a little
Massacre.
Mask. Yeah. Yes, very leather face. It's a turkey, so like literally a quarter of his size, and he's down there, and then
the proportions are not correct at all.
She starts hugging him. She's like, "Oh, hi, Dad."
And she's like, "Something looks different."
And then he says something else, and she was like, "Oh, Dad," or because she says, "Can you take us to the garage, like so we can look at the books?" And he was like, "Yeah, where's the garage?" And she was like, "Oh, Dad, you and your rapidly fading memory."
Yes, and he takes off his little hat, and she's like, "Oh, you got a haircut. Yeah, that's what's different." And so then we have them getting into the garage. They're about to go look through the book. She's like, she doesn't tell the dad what they're looking for when he asks. And you think like, oh, maybe she's catching on to him. But no, she just basically said, I didn't want to explain the whole story to him. And so
she says like, thank you, Dad. I'd die if it wasn't for you. And he's like, more like you'll die if it was for me.
And they're
she was
like, what?
And then he's like, nothing, sweetie.
And so then it cuts to a montage of them looking through all these books, which is pretty funny because it's just so silly.
It's got the opening music playing again. and they're just getting to work. There's like some awkward hand holding scene with Kristen and Johnny, or not hand holding, but like she
Intimate
picks
scene.
a book and then his hand like also reach for the book at the same time. And
very rom-com.
Silly.
Yeah. And like there's moments also where like it seems like they're about to kiss maybe. And then we just have them all like looking at books like they're really like looking hard for something. And then that's whenever they come out of it and we have Darren saying, I found it. And then that's when everybody's like, oh, thank God, it took forever. And Kristen's just like, that was 5 minutes.
It's like 5 minutes.
It's so funny. And so we have them talking about how there's a magical talisman that the turkey wears.
And you have to remove this totem to kill him. And they were like,
to take away his invincibility.
Oh, yeah. They're like, I didn't see a totem. And they were like, well, if it's not there, it's probably under his plumage.
Yeah. And so that's whenever they've got that down. And then there's another way to kill it, or
it's
the
all
way
in
to kill it.
Mathematical code.
So Darren has to solve it.
And it's like a page long, this code is, and he's just solving it there in his brain.
And that's whenever we find Billy. Well, Billy walks out.
This is the part the 30-second part that had all the bad slurs.
Because he goes out there and
he finds the turkey.
Yes, sorry, the turkey.
The turkey's dragging the dad's body away, his skinned face, which the face looked pretty good.
Yeah, it did.
I actually was like, okay, that looks nice.
The practical effects.
I really liked the turkey wearing the face too. I thought that was hilarious.
And he finds him. He's trying to hide the body, but that's whenever we have him then attacking.
He said, if that's the sheriff, then you're the turkey.
And so that's whenever he starts yelling at the guys, the gang to come out. And that's whenever they do. They see him there. And then he starts going off on that. Yeah. He says like 3 or 4 things that's pretty offensive.
And the turkey, he's like explaining why they were like, you guys took our land. You did all this awful stuff to us. And then that's when he says, we gave you guys lots of land and casinos. And it's like, oh God.
And then that's whenever they end up.
The turkey loses it at that point too. He was like, what the fuck?
And so he tries attacking them, but they end up getting like overpowering him and getting the talisman off of him. And then right after that, he is able to escape and elude them once again. And then we have Bailey basically saying, okay, I'm out. I'm done.
This shit, I'm out.
He doesn't want to do it no more. And so
Johnny says, well, he's dead.
Yeah, it's so funny. Which I felt like
it was at the same time as we were saying, well,
he's dead, literally. And so the amount of like, this movie is really self-aware as well, that it's like a shitty movie. So it's so funny as well when like you're pointing things out and they're pointing it out with you as well. Yeah. And so they like, it almost feels like, when you go to things and it's live and it's like those like, and this and that, like it's almost like a whole freaking improv that's just escalated like into all of this. Yes. And so we have them I believe they run out, right? Because they want to go find him. Oh, no. We have that moment between Johnny and Kristen.
Life is not like a playbook.
Yeah. And they start having this intimate moment where they finally get to kiss.
My quarterback any day. And I'm like, dude, your dad's dead. Like dead right there. That's
how they treat all the dead in the movie, though. It's like that's not even happened. Yeah. And so then we have them almost kissing. Ooh, I bet. They're almost kissing, but then Darren walks in and is like, "Ooh, this is awkward."
Cracked the code.
They cracked the code. They have to burn him at the stake like a witch and say a demonic spell backwards in order for him to die.
In unison backwards. Yeah.
And so that's whenever
they were like, "How are we going to find him?" It says he would be in his teepee.
Yeah. And so they got to go find the teepee, but not before that.
They says, well, how do we find that? And he was like, if he's not in the teepee, he's killing one of your friends. This is what the book says. And they're like, Billy.
Yeah. And so we're like, oh shit. So we see Billy walking down the sidewalk and he's very hungry because he's saying, I'm so hungry. And then that's whenever the turkey kind of takes this as an opportunity to trick him into eating him
as like this animated turkey, as if almost it's like a mirage.
It's a mirage, literally, because he's so hungry and so delirious because he's so hungry.
And so he just sees this, instead of turkey, he sees this cooked turkey. And like it looked like it was on the plate with like the little greenery around it and everything.
And the turkey's even saying, he's like, eat me, eat me.
And then he like picks this turkey up and then just kind of like
gobbles it,
slides it down his gullet. And then
we have his like stomach acting up a little funny, and he starts looking down, and then bam, the whole like his insides just explode open.
Yeah, we were like, oh damn, like Alien, but then nope, it's a fucking shotgun. The turkey shot
him from the outside, literally, and he said, "Gobble gobble, bitch." Now that's what I call foul play,
gobble gobble, motherfucker.
There we go, gobble gobble, motherfucker.
Just like the title. This I was losing my mind here. I was laughing. And then that's what I call foul play. And so funny.
We have him on the side of the road, and that's whenever the gang pulls up to him, and Darren is like, and now we're both like, how is he still alive? Because Billy's still hanging on.
So
and all
much of his intestines were like out of his body.
And he's talking to Darren, and Darren starts talking to him about you're my best friend, and there's going to be so many more good times, and
it's not even that bad.
It's not even that bad. You can't die.
It's going to be fine. And then he's saying like, and Billy's whispering like, you're one of the cool kids now.
Yeah.
And Darren's like, he's like, I miss you so much. And then we get this whisper of this music video montage that comes in, and
like
he says,
good minute and a half.
I miss you so much, Billy. This song goes out to you. And we're going to play that clip for you right now.
Billy, I love you. You're my friend. I've never had anybody come into my life like you, Billy. Remember when you gave me my first ice cream cone under the sunset? I miss you so much, Billy. This song goes out to you. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Love you, Billy. And now you've gone and left me. You were my friend. My friend. You got killed by a turkey. Who's not my friend? Not my friend. Oh, Billy, Billy, Billy. You were my best friend. We were meant to be best friends forever. And now you're dead best friend. Dead best friend, Billy. Why did you have to leave me, Billy? Why did you have to leave me? You're my best friend, Billy. Best friend, Billy.
Fun. But yeah, so wasn't that the most beautiful song you've ever heard?
If I ever died and a friend didn't like make a song dedicated to me in that way,
exactly,
I'm gonna come back and haunt you.
For real.
With the video and everything.
Yes.
Although they would have to trick me into filming something like that before I died.
Yes.
Yes. Because it was like a montage of them doing things together.
Make all your friends skip through a field with you, hand in hand, lay next to each other in the grass, looking at each other, pretend you're not allergic to grass.
That it's for their untimely death.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. Just in case you die, we're going to film this.
We already got this ready to go. Yeah.
We'll play it at your funeral. Don't worry.
And
it's going to be really sick.
Makes sense. We should
all take videos.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Anyways, people should do that more often.
Let's recreate this music video. Can I be Billy?
You can be Billy.
Okay, great.
And so that's whenever I want to be Dirty Dan.
Dirty Dan.
No, I want to be Dirty Dan. No, you're Pinhead Larry. And so that's whenever we have them coming back from it, and Darren's pretty sad. He's watching kind of like a music video when someone's like in a car and it's driving off, and they're looking from the window, and he's looking at Billy's body just laying there on the sidewalk.
That's like
and they just leave him.
Video. That was my life.
Yeah.
I loved listening to, my music in the headphones and looking out the car window. Like everything was so like forlorn and
so drama. And so they basically just leave Billy's body there, of course, like they've done every other dead body. And that's whenever they end up finding the teepee, right?
Yeah, and Turkey's inside just tossing a salad. And he's like, nothing like a good salad to fill me up.
Which is so funny. And so I guess it makes sense because turkeys would be, I think they are vegetarians, right?
Yeah, I don't know much about turkeys. All I know is they're fucking big.
It's huge.
Wait.
That's not a turkey sound, but there you go.
Is that even? What was that? That was too like
Chewbacca. High pitched. And so that's whenever they find the teepee on the side of the road, and their plan is like, Kristen's like, okay, me and Johnny are going to just go in and distract him, and Darren, you're going to come in, tie him up, and do this and do that. And so Darren's like, so I'm basically doing all the work. And she's like, yeah. Yep. And so he's like,
and Johnny
okay.
just pulled this rope out of his pocket.
Yeah,
too.
It's so funny. As it looks like a very like bad rope too, like just rope. Yeah. Like cheapy rope that, and it's supposed to probably to be funny. And so that's whenever they do walk in, and Johnny's like, you ain't that tough or whatever. You ain't so bad after all. Mm-hmm. And then that's whenever
someone says foul mouthed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, because Darren was like, let's kill this foul mouthed turkey. And so that's whenever they go in there and they're talking to him essentially. And he's saying like, you can't kill me. And they start reciting that spell backwards.
And right? After Darren popped in through the back and like didn't actually tie up this turkey.
Yeah.
He looked like he just like halfway got the rope around like one wing and then pulled back and made some tying motions, but it didn't seem like he actually tied the turkey.
No.
But yes, then that's where they start reading the book, and they're reading the prayer backwards, and it's in like Latin or something, you know? So it's like, da boo bee da 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 ba. And then the turkey's like,
he's mocking them. Yes, he's like, this is the stupidest motherfucking thing I've ever done. Some stupid shit. And so that's whenever he actually starts feeling a certain way, and he's like, oh my God, what did y'all do to me? And this is, I'm sorry, where they're like, oh, we removed your invincibility or something like that. And so he's like, well, you still can't kill me. And that's whenever I think they want to light him on fire, right? Yeah.
And Kristen says, I'm ready to see this cock burn.
Yeah.
And they were like,
you mean turkey?
Turkey? And she was like, no, like, I mean a dick.
But yeah. And
not like the animal.
And then that's whenever like Darren says something like around like, we've got something you don't have. And then he's like, well, yeah, a vagina. So
Darren's like, no.
And so after they're about to try to set him on fire, but he ends up running off before they can even do that.
Yeah.
But he gets out of the tent only for a second, and that's whenever the old hag comes out.
The old hag shotgun barrel.
And he shoots him point blank, and he ends up like flying off and ending up into a little trash can.
Yeah, one of those, you know, trash bins that you put out on the side of the road for the dumpster pickup.
And so he's
garbage truck,
quote unquote dead. And so the gang comes out. They're like, what'd you do? And then he's like, I killed him. They're like, well, no, you didn't, because you have to kill him in a certain way. So they go and they look at him, but they're looking at him in the trash can, and they're like, no, he's dead.
He looks pretty dead.
Yeah, because he apparently has a hole in him the size of Kristen's head.
Yes.
And so
and his face, like it was this very like jagged turkey head, and then it looked like very small and slimy.
Yeah, he looked a little deady, which he might have been dead, but the thing is that his eyes started glowing green. And
while they were sitting there talking over him too, there was light emitting off of their fingertips, like light was coming from the trash can. And then I'm also like, okay, well, why did they not get radioactive from touching the trash can? Like they should have become superhumans, and then we should have had a superhuman fight off with a turkey.
That would be a superhero movie rule. If you ever get radioactive waste on you, you either die or you become a superhero. Yeah,
or a turkey,
or a supervillain.
Yes,
like Harley Quinn. And so then we have his eyes glowing up green. The hillbilly leaves because he's basically like, well, my job here is done. And then that's whenever the gang are just like, well, let's go home and watch movies.
Yeah.
And so that's whenever we notice as they all go away and they're going home that the turkey fell into a bin of radioactive waste.
Yep.
Which, as we just said,
radioactive material. And then they're going back to Kristen's house, and her dad is
just laying there
dead.
But of course, they're just playing it off.
Let's go watch a movie at my house.
Yeah.
And it's like, bitch.
And so they get in there, they're watching movies, and that's whenever Johnny's like, you know, Kristen's like, this has been a horrible night. And then Johnny's like, well, at least I got a girlfriend out of it. And she's like, girlfriend. And so, and he's like, yeah, well, and he asks her out. And then Darren's like watching, like very like envious, you can tell. And then they start making out like right next to him, like hardcore.
Darren, so mind you, they were on a couch that could comfortably seat like probably 4 people.
But they were right. He was right on them.
There was enough room for 2 more people to fit on that couch, like squeezed in. Because they were on like half of the couch.
Yeah.
Because Darren was like pressed up against Johnny's body.
Very much so.
And just sitting there watching them. Like Johnny has the popcorn bowl.
He actually wanted Johnny. He was jealous of Kristen.
I thought so from the beginning.
That makes sense.
Whenever he was having that interaction with Johnny, I was like, ooh, there's some tension give those vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's whenever they were making out. He's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go pee, and he walks away. And so he doesn't get too far because that's whenever we have him meeting up with the turkey.
Yeah.
And the turkey.
I mean, he successfully pees. He goes to the bathroom and like washes his hands, and then he looks in the fridge for a snack.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's bent over looking for a snacky,
the turkey sneaks in.
Yes, and throws a thermometer.
Oh, that's right, on his butt. I forgot about that.
You're done, bitch.
Yeah.
Because it's a thermometer. Because it like went all the way to the correct temperature and went like ding.
And so he starts attacking him, and he gets him on the ground, and that's whenever he starts chewing, pecking, like getting out his tongue. Rips out his tongue. Yeah.
And it's like, like a cheese pull on a pizza commercial. Mm-hmm. That's what his tongue looked like. And then it just like, or like, on like a cheese stick, whenever it's like not super melty cheese, but then when it breaks, how it's like kind of fat and like
it's very descriptive. Yes.
Yes. That's what it does look
like a brunch cheese stick.
Yeah. This is sitting there a little too long.
Mm-hmm. And then he starts attacking him more as he's on the ground and starts pecking so much at his chest that he takes out his fucking heart.
Eats his heart out.
Mm-hmm. And so
he just throws it to the side too.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
just throws it. And so that's whenever Darren's dead, obviously. And so
he's getting a nice vision of Billy.
He does.
Billy says, God's waiting.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
God's waiting, Darren.
And so that's whenever we cut back to Johnny and Kristen on the couch, and Johnny wakes up from a nightmare, and Kristen's like, what's wrong? And he's like, well, what if the turkey's still alive? And she's like, well, he's dead. And he's like, well, what? Not unless he fell into radioactive waste.
And she's like, come on, that only happens in movies.
Yeah. And so that's whenever they go to I think at this point they go back to the kitchen, right?
Yeah. Johnny's like, well, okay, still, that dream really freaked me out. I'm going to go check on Darren.
That's right.
And so he gets up and he's like, Darren, where are you at? And then Turkey responds. He says, I'm in the kitchen making a turkey sandwich.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay. And so he goes in there, and then
that's when literally so immediately he gets stabbed by one of those turkey carvers, the electric ones that you plug in, and Turkey is just going at it with him. And so Kristen comes in and she punches the turkey so easily, and he's kind of like to the side, taken aback a little bit. And so she gets Johnny and they walk off, but like
the turkey cutter's still in the wall.
Yeah, and like he
unplugs it,
and so it's just still inside of him.
He's just walking around with the turkey cutter.
They get out to the garage or something, right?
Yeah, they're walking out into the backyard, and she goes, let's hide in that shack over there.
Yeah.
And they run into a shack, and they're having like this I love you kind of thing.
And that's whenever we have
turkey came out,
right?
up immediately.
Yeah.
And she sets him on fire.
She sets him on fire pretty fast.
She says, roast in hell, asshole.
Yeah. And then that's whenever he's like, my feathers are melting, and he's like freaking out. And then she says, peck on someone your own size.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow he gets flown off. Is it that he got kicked?
I think she let him on fire at first, and then he was kind of just burning there, and she thought he was dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then she went back over to Johnny, and he says, I wish I could call a timeout. And then that's when she says, I love you. And he's like, I love you too, blah, blah, blah. But then Turkey comes back to life after Johnny just died.
Gotcha.
And then that's when she walks over to him. She says, peck on someone your own size. And she hits him with a baseball bat.
That's what it is.
Into one of those bonfire things. So it's like on a stake because it's one of those.
Like a witch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then old hag comes up to her and says, well done.
Yeah, as she's eating like a piece of turkey.
Super well done turkey leg.
Yeah, as she's eating it. And so then we cut to a family eating dinner, saying grace. And we have...
They looked so weird.
Yeah, they did. And then we have the turkey that's cooked literally all the way and sitting on a plate garnished in the middle of the table, kind of just moving,
twitching a little bit,
and then starts attacking, and then is like, do I smell a sequel?
Biatch.
Yeah. And then it just cuts to black, and it's like, to be continued. ... In space. and that's how we end ThanksKilling 2007.
Classic. Love it.
classic Thanksgiving movie now.
So fun. We were also then trying to look up last night after we watched it, and there's no ThanksKilling 2, but there is a ThanksKilling 3.
Mm-hmm.
It is like the first and only movie to have skipped its own sequel.
Yeah.
It just was like,
goes to the third one.
ThanksKilling 3.
Hey, that's pretty original.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I would watch. Probably will watch that.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with a good friend of mine, Kenny, this morning.
Yeah.
And I was telling him he loves horror films and stuff. And so I said, like, oh, we watched this movie called ThanksKilling last night, and we're going to watch it. We're covering it on the podcast. And he was like, oh, I've seen that. And he said his dad and him like always watch really bad horror flicks like this. And so he was telling me of a bunch of other ones like Killer Sofa. And there were just so many. Killer Sofa, Santa Jaws. And it was like, it's just Jaws, basically, but the thing wears a Santa hat and it goes around killing people.
Yeah.
So many. And then there was Rubber, which I know I've talked about Rubber with Mike out there before. And it's just like a killer
tire, right?
Yeah, tire. Oops, I said tile. But yeah, we were just talking about all the funny, like, horror films based on holidays, because we were looking up like Easter ones. There's like Easter Casket, Peter Rottentail. Like,
oh, that's funny for Easter. Yes.
Yeah, so many funny ones. Anyways, I just thought that was so fun that other people watch that. And this was a listener request.
It was, yes, by our good friend and a listener, Miss Courtney. She, I asked her to kind of give me what she would say, for her part, as we're going to give some B ratings. So Courtney said so we're just putting in quotes. Here we go. She said, I just would like to apologize in advance for anyone who watches it because it's literally the stupidest movie, but it's so fun. She says it's so fun to watch every year and laugh. The shit in the coffee pot, the guy and his dog Flashy.
Okay.
So now we got confirmation on the name. But one of her favorite parts is where the turkey has sex with the girl, and at the end he says, "You've been stuffed." She says, WTF. It's just one of those movies that you watch with your close friends, with your favorite beverage or herb, and laugh. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. And that was her take on it. But yeah, she watches it every year.
I love it.
It's one of her favorite movies.
Thanksgiving tradition.
Exactly. For Thanksgiving.
This needs to be our Thanksgiving tradition.
That does make, like, if you watch it with a group of friends, it's just funny to watch and kind of talk shit about.
We should have this on, we should play it
for Friendsgiving.
For ThanksKilling. We're going to kill our friends.
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so that would definitely be something you could do with your friends.
That is, again, highly inappropriate.
Oh, yeah.
But still worth a watch.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's
super
I think you take it with like
a grain of salt.
Yeah, and like with the scope of knowing that it was created kind of at that point, which doesn't make it okay, but like it's yeah. I mean, if you can't laugh about it, then what can you do? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think also too, like, I'm gay, and it says like the F, says the F word, and then I'm like, I don't take that to heart, because it's like, but yeah, that's ThanksKilling, you guys. And let's get into ratings. I think just for the sake of the holidays, I'm gonna give it a 5.
Yeah,
because for it is for what it is, and also if y'all don't know already, it's literally only an hour long. It's very digestible.
Yes.
If
it was any longer, it might be like, okay, but it was so easy to watch. What an enjoyable time we had last night. That was that's a memory I'll cherish forever.
Just literally laughing the whole time.
Josh and I sitting there watching this
snickering,
film,
writing notes
while Sadie is
the little taps
laid all over me.
Oh yeah, the doggos.
Yeah.
And your B rating as well?
Yeah, 5. That's what I said last night.
Yeah.
Holiday spirit.
Yeah.
That shit was funny.
What else could you give it?
Yeah. You can't rate it like seriously.
No, because if you rated it seriously, no. So it's just gonna get a 5, an automatic 5.
I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching it.
It was pretty funny.
It was funny.
I think if you have a dark sense of humor, you'll find it funny.
Yeah.
And especially because they're in on, like we said, they're in on the joke. So it's not like it's something that's supposed to be taken seriously at all. Like they even know, like, this is shit. This is garbage. But like we wanted to make something garbage.
They were definitely leaning into the fact, like, Like their acting was bad on purpose. It was meant to be this way.
Yeah,
exactly. And it was just fucking funny.
It was funny.
It's funny. I loved it.
Yeah.
So that's ThanksKilling.
That's ThanksKilling, you guys.
Turn it on this Thursday as you're cooking for your family. The turkey.
As your grandmother says grace.
And hope that your turkey doesn't come to life and kill you.
Yeah.
You never know.
And if it doesn't do now, it'll come back in 505 years.
That's right. What an odd and specific date. I wonder why 505.
Because that was 2007.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so it had to be.
Yeah. And so we are once again in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios.
That's right.
Such good care of us. You can listen to our show and a lot of other shows on their lovely website at roguemedianetwork.com.
Or on a slew of podcasting platforms, the biggest two being
Apple Podcasts
and also Spotify. But wherever you do listen, please don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right. And then if you want to let us know your thoughts on ThanksKilling or any of these other
movies,
like if there's your favorite low quality budget horror flick that's meant to be silly like this and you want us to cover it, please reach out because this was super fun. And you can do that on Instagram, and that is at
BooBaes Podcasts, and that's BOOBAES because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes.
That's right.
Yes.
And until next time, happy holidays. We will be covering Milo.
Oh, Milo, yes.
That's right. Next week, we'll be covering Milo, which was the film that terrified me as a kid. And I have not seen it since then. So I'm so excited to go back and watch it and see how awful it was.
Not so scary. I don't know. Usually
because a lot of horror films didn't scare me too bad as a child. But then this one I still have a fear of floor vents. Because there's a scene in this movie where the guy's crawling through the floor vent spying on the girl.
Oh.
And it's like, ugh.
It's creepy.
It creeps me out. It's that and Canopy Beds from The Haunting.
The crawl space.
Yeah.
You should watch The People Who Live Under the Stairs.
No.
Yeah.
I don't need more fears.
Yeah. Stairs.
A whole family could probably live under my stairs right now. My Harry Potter closet is huge.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah. A lot of people. And then the walls. They live in the walls.
Ugh, that is one of my biggest fears.
You have to watch that movie. Oh, we'll have to cover that. It's a very early, I think, Wes Craven film.
Fun.
Yeah.
We should also cover The Boy.
Okay. That sounds like good fun too. Okay, well,
it is fun.
We will talk about all this on our next episodes. And like you said, until next time, guys.
Bye, baes.
Bye, baes.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.